Awesome. Welcome to Insight Lab 4. We are thrilled to be talking to all of you today. Thank you for coming back after lunch. We appreciate that. So we're going to be talking to you today about how you move from thinking about the consumer journey into architecting really valuable experiences for your consumers. My name is Natalie McCaffrey.
Hi, I'm Andrea Wilson, and we both work on the strategy team with Sam at iProspect.
So over the past day and a half, you have heard several times how the world around us is rapidly changing. Everything from consumers to technology to the way you as brands and marketers interact has led to this digital revolution that we're living in today. So what might shock you or even scare you is that right now, at this point in time, change is actually the slowest it will ever be. The fast is only going to get faster. And to be successful in this environment, we must keep pace with the change. And one of the biggest areas of change that we've seen is in the way that people are consuming media. So as media touch points have increased, consumer attention spans have actually decreased. They're as low as 2 seconds, which is crazy. And so in the past, we as marketers have utilized mapping media consumption patterns as a way to sort of understand this journey that they take across their touch points. But in today's world, we believe it's not so much about mapping those consumption patterns, but really about architecting valuable experiences. And so in today's Insight Lab, we're going to talk to you about why this is important specifically for performance media, and then how you do that by understanding consumers, not just as a segment or as a generation of consumers, but really as people. And then we'll sort of bring all of this to life in a really meaningful experience. So we'll start first by explaining why is this important to all of you as performance marketers. So some more shocking stats, you may have already seen some of this throughout the day, but by 2025, we're going to move from 3.4 billion people to 8 billion hyper-connected humans, and over 6 billion devices to 100 billion devices. So basically, everything that can be connected will be connected. Your clothes, to your car, to your doorbell, to your thermostat, everything will have the ability to be connected, and it will happen at lightning speeds. And so because of this proliferation of connectivity, because of this increase in media touch points, we have seen the point of engagement and the point of transaction come closer and closer together. So for example, while you are chatting with your friends on Facebook Messenger about your plans for the evening, your concerts, your movies, whatever you're headed to that night, you can order an Uber directly from that same platform, and it'll arrive at your door within minutes. And then there's apps like to Know It and Project September that were released very recently that allow you to seamlessly purchase directly from Instagram. And so for you as marketers, what it's doing is making it easier and easier for you to push consumers into that purchasing environment. And so amidst all of this chaos and this complexity that we're facing, if there's one thing that will remain similar, it's that the journey will always have a beginning and it will always have an end. But what's happened in between the beginning and the end that has resulted in this incredible abundance of choice and complexity for consumers, making the easiest things like buying a latte or buying laundry detergent, whatever, really, really complex because of the amount of choices available to consumers. And so you heard yesterday, there's 211 million pieces of content created every single minute. And even if majority of that is rubbish, it's still content. It's still content that consumers are exposed to. Then you also heard that there's 56 touch points between the time a consumer is inspired and the time that they purchase. And we actually think that that's probably slightly outdated, and it's probably 3 or 4 times that by now. And so ultimately what this has done is really made the journey more and more complex. And so to sort of sum this up, why is this important to you as a performance marketer? Oftentimes clients will come to us and they'll say, why is this important when my main focus is a 5-to-1 ROI, or my main focus is driving revenue? But we believe you have to think beyond that. In today's world, it's so much more about who is driving that sale, who is driving that click. Like Jeremy mentioned yesterday, you can't ROI yourself out of business. And you do that by really understanding consumers as people.
So in this crazy chaos that's happening in this world, it is really important to understand consumers as actual people, because when you have that knowledge, you can build very interesting journeys and very interesting stories that impact them in very strong ways. And obviously it's beneficial for the consumer, but it's also beneficial for you as a brand, because when you have that, you can use it as a framework to really develop interesting and impactful conversations with them throughout their journey and amidst all of that chaos. In the past, we used to really only understand data points, but now we have the ability to put together all of these pieces of information to really learn more about who that consumer is. So we used to really only understand and be able to buy media based on demographic information, and now we have the ability to, through pixel tracking, understand some behaviors and then layer in psychographic data. So finally we have this whole robust story of who this consumer is, and we can really start to understand not only what they're doing, but why they're doing the things they're doing. And that's the part that's really important. It's not necessarily understanding their media footprint, but it's understanding why their media footprint is the way it is. If you think about an example like mobile, it's very helpful to know as a marketer that your consumer is using mobile. But what's even more impactful is to understand what mobile's role is within their life. For example, how are they using mobile? What do they love about mobile? What do they like using mobile for? Those are the kinds of insights that are really helpful to build really robust strategies and really impactful conversations that you can have one-on-one with your consumer. The good news is that, again, in this digital economy of craziness, we have a lot of data sources that we can use. And really the first and the most important begins with having conversations direct with you. So it's working with you and getting briefed and really talking through what your client brief looks like, looking at any segmentation work that you've done in the past, and then pulling together on-site analytics to get a true story of who your customer is. From there, we can look at the media that you're running through different networks like our partners at Google or Facebook and putting together additional insights into who that consumer is. There's also third-party tools that are telling us more and more about certain types of consumers. And finally, we're pulling all this information into the data tools that we have that are proprietary. So Sam talked yesterday about CCS, which is our proprietary consumer tool, and we're able to use that to get very actionable insights after we pull all this information together to build really robust storytelling. And so what we're going to do is we're going to give you just a quick snapshot of that. So this is a very quick example that is already overwhelming, and it really is only a portion of the types of information that we can get. But what we're going to focus on is really Lisa, our busy mom, her most important touch points, and then we're going to dig deep together into understanding why those motivations are important to her and why she's doing what she's doing. So we're just going to start at the top. Okay, she's telling us that she is on mobile most of the time. And this is probably, as a busy mom, the fact that she's always on the go and multitasking, and her mobile is very convenient for her because she can do the things that she needs to do and then also use digital and find out the information she needs. This is also telling us that most of her activity occurs after 8 p.m. And as we're thinking about it, as a busy mom, this is probably when her child is asleep, so she can finally work on her fun to-do list, or she can actually have some me time. And it's also telling us that digital consumption is something that she appears to use and enjoy because her me time is digital. We're learning through CCS that she uses digital to find out information and learn as well as be entertained. And this, again, doesn't surprise us because she's always multitasking. So she's balancing her to-do list and her me time and her fun. From her technology ownership standpoint, we're learning that she's a relatively early adopter, and she has connected household devices, she regularly uses a wearable device, and she uses mobile wallet to pay in store. And this tells us that she's using technology to make her world faster and to do things quicker and to be more efficient. This also tells us that she probably likes technology and has a little bit of fun doing it because she's an early adopter. It might be one of her passion points. We're also learning that she researches heavily, and it's really throughout her busy day, which is again probably why she's on her mobile most of the time. She also tells us that she considers all options before buying, and as a mom, she probably has learned that it's really important to do as much research as possible, from getting others' opinions to expert advice, before she makes a decision. She's probably learned that when she doesn't do that, she makes the wrong decision, and then that's actually more inefficient for her. She uses social very frequently, and she uses this to connect with friends, probably because as a mom, her adult active social life has probably taken kind of a nosedive, so she is using this to stay friends and to keep her network connected. She also uses social for inspiration and advice, and this goes into the fact that she's wanting to find out information and learn from digital, as well as be entertained. So she's using social to find out those answers, to get expert advice, to get advice from friends, and to just really be inspired about the things she wants to buy. So this was only a quick example of what a current footprint could look like and what it looks like for Lisa. But what we think can really take your business to the next level and really future-proof it is to anticipate what Lisa's next need would be and anticipate what her future footprint would look like. And the way that you do that is you really dig deep into understanding what their current motivations are and what their current priorities are, because that can help tell us what her future priorities will be going forward. For example, looking at the technology adoption that she's having, if she's using tools that make things easier, that multitask and make her more efficient, as future technologies become available, those are probably the ones that she would use. Things that continue to do that for her. And so as a brand, if you want to connect with Lisa, you can either make sure that your technology does those things for her, or you're integrating in with technology that is doing that for her that she's using already. And the next step is to use those motivations to guide how you as a brand can provide value to her. So thinking about Lisa, how can you ease her frustrations? How can you make her world faster? How can you make things that she wants to do and needs to do every single day quicker and more efficient? And then ultimately, how can you really, really impress her? Because that is really what the heart is of building really powerful experiences that will drive impact and drive results. So now that we've talked about the crazy, chaotic world and why it's really important to understand consumers as people, the very third piece of what we're going to do today is kind of bring this to life and really show you how you can see examples of how to bring really powerful experiences to life today.
So let's spend the day with Lisa to get to know her at a little bit of a deeper level. We'll start first with her morning commute. So as a busy mom, she knows that she has a super packed day. So on her way to work and into the office, she asks Siri to list off all of her meetings for the day as well as her to-do list. And once she hears her to-do list, she realizes she has a short window between now and the time of her upcoming vacation, and she still has a lot of outfits to plan. So she also asked Siri for a list of women's shoe stores on the way that are close to her office. And at this point in her morning, it's usually her busiest, like I said, so voice optimized search and SEO become really, really important, ensuring your campaigns are live on Bing and that you have those conversational phrases that relate to her specific needs. And then on her way to the office, she stops by Starbucks. And while she's waiting in line, she uses her new Project September app to browse through her favorite bloggers and sees a pair of sunglasses that she likes and instantly buys them. She loves how with social networks, she gets both inspiration and validation of her purchases. And so how can we leverage influencer relationships, social buying tools that make it really, really easy for her to purchase? And then lastly, as she goes to buy her latte, she uses her iPay on her Apple Watch. And she loves how she can leave her wallet and her purse in the car, so it's really, really easy for her to check out.
So now she's at the office, and now that she's waiting for her hundreds of emails to download, she has a couple minutes, so she goes to one of her favorite sites she knows. And she is served a native experience written by one of her favorite bloggers talking about how to put on makeup faster and make her life easier. And this is extremely interesting to her because she's always multitasking and wants to look good and always wants to find a faster and better way to do something. So she's immediately sucked in and appreciates this. She also sees a retargeting ad by one of her favorite beauty brands, and it's telling her about a current friends and family sale. And she's also appreciative of this because she doesn't have the time to go to every single one of her favorite brand sites. So she likes that this communication is continuing to occur between this brand and herself so that she's able to know what's going on without having to search the entire internet to find out what's happening. So she also realizes that while she needs to get back to work and not play around, she needs to make this purchase quickly because if she doesn't do it now, she'll forget because her day's just so busy that it's gone and done and she'll miss the sale. So she tells Siri to go ahead and look at her past order history of all of her purchases between her and this site and just replicate her past order. So she's actually able to enjoy that personal assisted data integration by having Siri just go ahead and make that order faster for her. And then she doesn't have to spend time on the site looking at all the different things she needs to buy.
So now it's noon and she's headed on her lunch break. And she has a short window between now and her next meeting. And so she references that list that Siri gave her on her morning commute of the list of women's shoe stores. So then she walks into one of the shoe stores and starts browsing around for a little bit. She eyes some flats that she loves, and she uses the touchscreen technology within the store to request her size and find a lot of other product information. And she loves how within that store experience, she gets everything she would need to know about the shoe and about the prices and everything to validate her decision. So how can we utilize technology to improve that in-store experience? And then lastly, we know from CCS and her past search history that she is a price comparison shopper. And so she's using Google to reference product listing ads as well as other price comparison sites to validate her choice right before she checks out.
Her last stop is the evening routine, and as we learned, this is where her digital time is most spent. So as a brand, day parting would be an important tactic here to make sure that you're spending the most budget at the very exact time when she's actually searching and consuming on a personal basis. So she's sitting on her couch, she's catching up on DVR, she has the iPad in her hand, and she's on the Food Network app, and she is researching Easy Weeknight, cooking ideas, and she served an in-app banner. And she appreciates this because it shows that the brand knows what her consumption habits are and what her passion points are and what's important to her as a person. She then jumps to Facebook to continue talking to her friends. She's on Facebook Messenger, and she remembers that she needs a shirt that matches the flats that she just bought. So again, she doesn't have a lot of time. It doesn't really feel like dealing with shopping as a whole ordeal. So she goes to one of her favorite sites, Everlane, and tells them about her flat so they can find a shirt that matches that exactly without her having to scour the internet. And she loves this because she's actually within the Facebook Messenger app, and she's able to have a one-on-one direct customer experience with them. And so she really appreciates that time and really appreciates the fact that she can do that within the platform that she's in already as she's talking to her friends. So we hope that we've given you a little bit of food for thought and at least somewhat inspired you to think more about building really strong brand experiences. And we want you to know that iProspect is here to help you understand these three key things: your customers as people at a deeper level, the latest technologies that are most relevant to your current and future customers' path, and then what those connection points are between channels and technology. And all of this really starts with the client strategy brief, where we sit down all together and talk about your holistic business challenges and talk about the consumer data that you have so we can layer information onto that through the tools that we have access to build a really strong, robust footprint. And then together, we can work on what those powerful experiences could be through performance media to really drive results for you and then to have that better and stronger experience with your customer. So here's your cheat sheet of the takeaways for today's session. The first is that the customer experience is more important than ever for performance media. The second is that it's critical to understand your customers as people because it not only benefits you as a brand, but it benefits that customer. The third is truly exceptional experiences begin with prioritizing those most important touch points and then digging deep to understand the motivations to create those really powerful connections. And then finally, anticipating your customer's next need based on those core motivations is really what's going to empower us together to create really powerful experiences and provide true value to your consumer. And that is all we have. Do you guys have any questions?